The bridge of the U.S. Intrepid fell silent as the stars around them changed. The experimental drive had worked. Too well, perhaps. "Status report," Captain Elijah Cole said, his voice steady despite the tension in his shoulders. Olivia Martinez tapped at her console, her eyes wide as she read the data. "Sir, according to these readings, we're nowhere near charted space. The star patterns don't match anything in our database." "That's impossible," Alan Powell said from the engineering station. "The drive was only supposed to push us a few light years." Captain Cole stood up and walked to the main view screen. The stars looked different here, clustered in patterns no human had ever seen before. "Well, ladies and gentlemen, it seems we've made history today." Diana Wright's voice cut through the moment of wonder. "Captain, I'm picking up signals. Artificial signals. Lots of them." The crew exchanged looks. First contact, the moment humanity had wondered about for centuries. "Put it on screen," Cole ordered. The view screen flickered, showing a vast field of ships. They were unlike anything built by human hands, smooth, curved vessels that seemed to glow from within. Beautiful, but terrifying in their alienness. "Those are warships," Security Chief Victor Harris said quietly. "Look at the weapon emplacements." Before anyone could respond, the Intrepid shook violently. "We're being scanned," Martins reported. "Very powerful energy beam." The communications console lit up. "They're hailing us," Wright said. "I don't understand the language, but the computer is trying to translate." The screen changed again, showing a tall, slender being with blue-gray skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. It spoke, its voice translated into flat mechanical English. "Unknown vessel. You have entered Zarkai Federation space. Your drive signature matches Drokathy technology. Explain your presence or be destroyed." Cole stepped forward. "This is Captain Elijah Cole of the Earth vessel U.S. Intrepid. We are peaceful explorers. We know nothing of the Drokathy. This is our first contact with any life beyond our system." The alien's upper eyes narrowed. "Deception. The Drokathy were destroyed 3 centuries ago, yet you use their forbidden technology." "Sir," Powell whispered urgently, "their weapons are powering up." Cole tried again. "We developed our drive independently. We've never heard of the Drokathy or the Zarkai Federation. We're new to interstellar travel." "Scan complete," the alien said, ignoring Cole's words. "Your vessel is primitive, yet your drive is impossible for your level of technology. You will be boarded and examined." Martinez looked up from her console. "Captain, they're launching smaller vessels. Boarding craft, I think." "We can't let them take the ship," Harris said. "We don't know their intentions." Cole nodded. "Stephanie, prepare the medical bay for possible casualties." "Alan, can we use the drive again?" Powell shook his head. "Not immediately. It needs time to recharge. Then we do this the old-fashioned way." Harris, "Ready defensive measures." Martinez, "Plot a course through that asteroid field." Cole pointed to a dense cluster of rocks on the navigation display. "Their ships look bigger than ours. Maybe we can lose them in there." The Intrepid shuddered as energy weapons struck its shields. "Shields at 60%, Harris reported. "Their technology is far beyond ours." "Evasive maneuvers," Cole ordered. "Right, record everything. If we make it back to Earth, they'll need to know what we're facing." The human vessel turned sharply, engines straining as it raced toward the asteroid field. 2 Zarkai ships followed, firing constantly. "Download their communications," Cole said. "Get as much of their language and technology data as you can." Martinez worked furiously at her station. "I'm copying what I can from their signals. But they're closing fast." The Intrepid dove into the asteroid field, weaving between massive rocks. One of the pursuing ships clipped an asteroid and spun out of control. The other continued the chase, but more cautiously. "Powell, I need options," Cole said. "The drive needs 20 more minutes," Powell replied. But I might be able to use it to create a false signature, make them think we're somewhere else. Do it. The engineer nodded and ran from the bridge. 3 minutes later, the Zarkay ship veered off, chasing a phantom signal. We did it, Wright said, her voice shaking with relief. No, Cole replied grimly. We survived. And now we have to get home to warn Earth, because something tells me we haven't seen the last of the Zarkay Federation. As the Intrepid limped away into the darkness of space, none of the crew knew that this brief encounter would change the course of galactic history forever. Admiral Crevan paced the command deck of his flagship, the Eternal Might. His 4 eyes narrowed as he reviewed the encounter footage again. Play it once more, he ordered. The screen showed the small human vessel disappearing into the asteroid field, then the false signal leading his ships away. Such a simple trick, yet effective. Unacceptable, Crevan said. They were primitive, yet they escaped. His second-in-command, Sub-Admiral Yara, stepped forward. The Council demands your report, Admiral. Crevan turned his tall frame toward her. Tell them I will attend personally. This matter requires careful attention. Hours later, Crevan stood before the Galactic Council. 7 representatives from the founding species of the Zarkay Federation sat in a half-circle, their faces showing varying degrees of concern and dismissal. You claim this tiny vessel represents a threat? Asked Councillor Drav, his scales glittering under the chamber lights. One ship, barely able to defend itself. The vessel escaped using technology that should be beyond their capabilities, Crevan replied. They showed adaptability and resourcefulness. And their drive system. Yes, the drive, interrupted Councillor Mira. Her tentacles waved dismissively. Your report mentions similarities to Drokathi technology. But the Drokathi are extinct. We made sure of that centuries ago. Perhaps not all of them died, Crevan suggested. Or perhaps these humans discovered Drokathi ruins. At the end of the council table, Elder Zith Mora spoke. Unlike the others, she was ancient even by Zarkay standards. Her voice was soft, but commanded instant attention. There were warnings, she said, in the oldest texts, about species that adapt quickly, species that turn disadvantages into strengths. The Drokathi left records of such beings from the far rim of the galaxy. Myths and stories, Drav said. This new species is primitive. Their weapons barely scratched our scout ships. Yet they escaped, Zethmora reminded him. And now they know about us. The council chamber fell silent. What do you suggest, Admiral? Asked the council leader. Find them, Crevan said firmly. Find their homeworld before they can prepare. A single containment fleet should be sufficient. Zethmora shook her head slowly. I suggest caution. Send diplomats first. Learn more about them. And give them time to study the data they stole from our networks. Crevan asked. With respect, Elder, that would be a mistake. After much debate, the council voted. 6-1 in favor of sending a fleet. Only Zethmora opposed. As Cregan prepared to leave, the Elder approached him privately. You make a dangerous assumption, Admiral, she said. What assumption, Elder? That these humans think as we do. The Drokathi made that mistake once. Crevan bowed respectfully but dismissed her concerns. The Drokathi were overconfident. I am merely cautious. Meanwhile, on the far side of the galaxy, the U.S. Intrepid made slow progress toward Earth. The ship had suffered damage during their escape, and many systems were operating at minimum capacity. In the engineering section, Alan Powell leaned over a workbench where components of Zarkay technology lay dissected. This is amazing, he told Captain Cole, who had come to check on his progress. Their energy distribution systems are unlike anything we've ever developed, but the principles are understandable. Can we use any of it? Cole asked. Powell nodded. Already have. I've modified our shields based on their frequency patterns. And look at this. He pointed to a display showing the engine output. By applying their power conditioning to our systems, I've increased efficiency by 23%. Cole looked impressed. How long before we reach home? At current speed, about 6 months. And if we push the new modifications? Powell grinned. 4 months, maybe less. In the medical bay, Dr. Stephanie Brooks was making discoveries of her own. The Zarkai scanning beam had left trace biological markers that revealed fascinating details about their physiology. On the bridge, Olivia Martinez and Diana Wright worked together to decode the alien language and technical data they had captured. Little did the Zarkai know that with each passing day, the humans learned more, adapted more. By the time Admiral Krevan's containment fleet was ready, the humans would not be the same primitive species they had encountered. And back at the council chamber, Elder Zeth Morris sat alone, remembering the ancient warnings about a species called humans. The U.S. Intrepid emerged from deep space 6 months after its encounter with the Zarkai. The ship looked different now. Its hull was covered with new equipment, a blend of human engineering and alien technology. Captain Cole stood at Earth's orbital defense station, looking out at his planet through the massive window. Behind him, the most powerful people on Earth argued loudly. "We need to build warships," General Frank Howard said, slamming his fist on the table. "With what?" Senator Lillian Bright asked. "Our technology is centuries behind theirs." "Not anymore," Dr. Gregory Bennett said. He was the head scientist who had been studying the data and technology the Intrepid brought back. "Captain Cole's crew has given us a massive advantage." All eyes turned to Cole. He sighed and stepped away from the window. "We don't need to match their technology," he said. "We need to use what we have in ways they won't expect." 3 hours later, the United Nations Security Council voted to form the Human Defense Initiative. Margaret Sullivan, a former admiral with a reputation for unconventional thinking, was appointed as director. "My first act," Sullivan announced, "is to appoint Captain Cole as advisor to our rapid response team." The next day, Cole met with Dr. Bennett at the new HGI headquarters beneath the Rocky Mountains. "Show me what you've got," Cole said. Bennett led him through heavily guarded doors into an enormous underground hangar. Inside was the skeleton of a massive ship. "This is the UES Defiance," Bennett said with pride. "Our first purpose-built combat vessel." Cole walked around the partial hull. "It looks like one of ours, but those connection points aren't standard." "Good eye," Bennett said. "We're using the basic design of our ships, but the internal systems are based on Zarkai technology." He pointed to various sections. "Their weapons relied on energy types we didn't even know existed. But once we understood the principles, we found we could create our own versions." "How long until it's ready?" 6 months. Maybe less." Cole shook his head. "We might not have that long." As if his words were a prediction, alarms began to blare throughout the base. Both men ran to the command center, where Director Sullivan was already reviewing incoming data. "Our deep space monitoring network just picked up multiple objects approaching at high speed," she said. "Based on the drive signatures, they match what you recorded from the Zarkai ships." Cole studied the screen. "How many?" 5 large vessels, probably a scout force." Cole nodded. "They're being cautious, testing our defenses before bringing in their main fleet." "What do we do?" Bennett asked. "The Defiance isn't ready." "No," Cole agreed, "but the Intrepid is, and it's not the same ship they encountered before." Within hours, the upgraded U.S. Intrepid was ready for launch. The crew was mostly the same, with one addition. Dr. Bennett insisted on coming along to monitor the new systems. "Remember," Cole told his crew as they prepared to leave Earth orbit, "we don't need to defeat them. We just need to make them think twice about attacking us." Olivia Martinez looked up from her console. "Sir, I've analyzed their approach pattern. They're being careful, staying out of easy detection range." "They don't know we can see them," Cole said with a small smile. "That's our first advantage." Alan Powell spoke from the engineering station. "The new hybrid drive is online. We can match their speed now, maybe even exceed it for short bursts. "Good," Cole said. "Let's find a good spot to surprise them." The Intrepid moved silently out of Earth's shadow, using the modified Zarkai technology to mask its signature. It headed toward the approaching alien scouts. In the weapons bay, Security Chief Harris worked with Bennett to make final adjustments to their new defense systems. "Will this really work?" Harris asked, looking at the strange mixture of human and alien technology. Bennett checked the readings one more time. "In theory, yes. In practice, we'll find out soon enough." On the bridge, Captain Cole watched as Earth grew smaller behind them. Everything humanity had ever known, ever built, ever loved was on that small blue planet, and he was its first line of defense. "Diana," he said to Communications Officer Wright, "send one message to Earth. Tell them Operation Surprise Party is underway." The 5 Zarkai scout ships moved through the outer reaches of the solar system. Their mission was simple: assess the human homeworld's defenses, then report back to the main fleet. "No signs of advanced technology," reported the sensor operator on the lead vessel. "Primitive satellites, a small station in orbit, and a handful of simple ships. No energy shields detected." Lieutenant Thraz, the mission commander, nodded his blue-gray head. "Exactly as expected. These humans pose no significant threat." He turned to his communications officer. "Prepare to send a report to Admiral Crevan. Recommend immediate full invasion." "Sir," the sensor operator suddenly called out, "I'm detecting an energy surge nearby. I don't recognize the pattern." Thraz frowned. "Show me." Before the image could appear on screen, the ship rocked violently. "We're under attack," the tactical officer shouted. "Unknown vessel, approaching rapidly." The U.S. Intrepid shot past the Zarkai formation, firing weapons that shouldn't have existed on a human ship. Beams of energy struck 2 of the scout ships, disrupting their shields in ways the aliens had never seen before. "Impossible," Thraz said, watching the human vessel bank sharply and come around for another attack. "Their technology is too primitive for this." The Zarkai ships scrambled to form a defensive pattern, but the Intrepid was already among them, firing again. One of the scout ships exploded as its power core destabilized. On the Intrepid's bridge, Captain Cole watched the battle unfold with intense focus. "Their formation is breaking," reported Olivia Martinez. "They didn't expect us to hit them this hard." "Press the advantage," Cole ordered. "Target their lead vessel." The Intrepid's new weapons fired again, this time hitting Thraz's ship directly. The Zarkai vessel's shields flickered and failed. "Should we destroy it?" asked Harris from Tactical. Cole shook his head. "No, I want prisoners. Prepare to board." 20 minutes later, Lieutenant Thraz stood in the Intrepid's cargo bay, surrounded by human security officers. 2 of his crew had survived with him. The other Zarkai ships had retreated, disappearing into deep space. Captain Cole entered the bay and approached the alien officer. "I am Captain Elijah Cole of Earth," he said. "You came to our home with hostile intent." Thraz's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of confusion. "How did you defeat us?" "Your technology was primitive when we first encountered your vessel." "We learned quickly," Cole replied simply. Back on Earth, the news of the victory spread fast. Director Sullivan addressed the United Nations that evening. "Today, humanity has shown that we will not be easy prey," she said. "But this was only a scout force. The real test is yet to come." The UES Defiance's construction accelerated. 3 more ships were started, based on the same hybrid technology that had proven so effective. In the HEI headquarters, Dr. Bennett examined the captured Zarkai technology with growing excitement. "Their mistake," he told Sullivan, "was assuming we would try to copy their technology exactly. Instead, we're creating something new, a blend of our approaches and theirs." On the Intrepid, now back in Earth orbit, Thraz was kept in comfortable but secure quarters. Captain Cole visited him daily, asking questions about the Zarkai Federation. "Why do you talk to me?" Thraz asked one day. I am your enemy. I'm trying to understand, Cole replied. We don't want this war. We didn't even know you existed until your people attacked us. Thraz studied the human captain. Your species is strange. You were clearly outmatched, yet you adapted our technology in ways we never considered. That's what humans do, Cole said. We adapt. We survive. For the first time, Thraz felt doubt about the coming invasion. He had witnessed firsthand how quickly these humans had advanced. From primitive ships to weapons that could pierce Zarkai shields in just months. Captain, he said slowly, your people should flee while you can. Admiral Krevan's fleet is vast. Hundreds of ships, not just 5. Cole smiled. We're not going anywhere. This is our home. As he left Thraz's quarters, Cole's smile faded. The alien was right about one thing. The real battle was still to come. But humanity now had something it didn't have before, a fighting chance. In deep space, the surviving scout ships rejoined Admiral Krevan's fleet. Their report would change everything, but perhaps not in the way the Zarkai expected. News of the scout ship's defeat spread quickly through the Zarkai Federation. The Galactic Council called an emergency session, with representatives from all 7 founding species attending in person rather than through holograms. This is unprecedented, Councillor Drav said, his scales flushed dark with anger. A primitive species should not have been able to defeat our scouts. The reports are clear, said Councillor Mira, her tentacles curling anxiously. They used our own technology against us, modified in ways our engineers don't understand. Admiral Krevan stood silently, enduring their criticisms. When finally allowed to speak, his voice was cold and controlled. The humans are more dangerous than we anticipated, he admitted, but they are still just one world, with limited resources. My main fleet can easily overwhelm them. At what cost? Asked Elder Zethmora. We lost 3 ships and crew to their single vessel. A full invasion may succeed, but at a high price. The council chamber erupted in arguments. Some demanded immediate action to crush the human threat. Others suggested caution and further study. A few even proposed diplomatic contact. In the chaos, no one noticed a junior aide slip away. The young Maldorian, a member of one of the many subjugated species that served the Federation, hurried to a secure communication room. There, he sent a coded message to a distant outpost. Humans have defeated Zarkai ships. Opportunity approaches. For generations, the Maldorians had endured Zarkai rule. They had been forced to serve, their home planet stripped of resources. Now they saw a chance for freedom. Back on Earth, the Human Defense Initiative was expanding rapidly. The UES Defiance was complete and had begun its first patrol of the solar system. 4 more ships were under construction, each incorporating lessons learned from studying the captured Zarkai vessel. In a secure room deep within HDI headquarters, Captain Cole sat across from Lieutenant Thraz. Over the weeks of captivity, the alien had begun to speak more freely. Your people are making a mistake, Thraz said. Humans are not like other species the Federation has encountered. Tell me about these other species, Cole asked. Thraz's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. The Maldorians were advanced, but rigid in their thinking. When we disrupted their communication networks, they couldn't adapt. The Juvani had powerful weapons but no creativity. The Lasakai, they simply surrendered. And you think we're different? I've watched your people take our technology and change it in weeks. That process would take Zarkai engineers years. Thraz leaned forward. The Federation has ruled for thousands of years because we were always more advanced. But your people don't play by those rules. Cole nodded slowly. We have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. An apt phrase. In another part of the facility, Dr. Bennett was meeting with Director Sullivan and a group of military leaders. Displayed on the wall were plans for a new defensive system. We can't rely on just ships, Bennett explained. The Zarkei will come with overwhelming numbers, so we've designed this distributed defense network. The screen showed small satellites positioned throughout the solar system. Each unit is small and easy to miss, Bennett continued. But together, they create a web that can detect, track, and even attack enemy vessels. We're calling it the Spider Network. How soon can it be deployed? Sullivan asked. The first units are ready now. Full coverage will take 2 months. Sullivan frowned. We might not have that long. At that moment, an alarm sounded. A communications officer rushed into the room. Director, we've received a transmission. It's not from Earth. The Zarkei? Sullivan asked, standing quickly. No, ma'am. It's from a species called the Maldorians. They say they want to help us. Across the galaxy, Admiral Krevan's invasion fleet was nearly ready. 200 vessels, including the massive flagship Eternal Might, prepared to depart for the human solar system. But as final checks were being completed, Krevan received troubling news. Minor systems across several ships had mysteriously malfunctioned. Nothing critical, but enough to cause delay. Unknown to him, Maldorian technicians serving on those ships had received their orders. The small acts of sabotage were just the beginning. The Admiral stared out at his fleet, unaware that the galaxy's balance of power had already begun to shift. What had started with one human vessel encountering the Federation would soon grow into something much larger, a revolution that would change the galaxy forever. Admiral Krevan stood on the bridge of the Eternal Might as his massive fleet approached the edge of the human solar system. Despite the delays caused by mysterious malfunctions, 200 Zarkei vessels now moved in perfect formation toward Earth. Final tactical assessment, Krevan ordered. His new second-in-command, Captain Leros, stepped forward. Our scouts report minimal orbital defenses. They have 6 combat-ready vessels, all based on the design that defeated our scouting party. Their planetary defense systems are primitive. Victory should be assured within hours. Krevan's 4 eyes narrowed. The humans have surprised us before. Proceed with caution. The fleet moved forward, passing the outer planets of the solar system. Strangely, they encountered no resistance. Where are their ships? Krevan wondered aloud. They must know we're coming. As if in answer, alarms sounded across the bridge. Energy signatures detected, reported the sensor officer. Small objects, thousands of them, scattered throughout the system. A trap, Krevan realized. Evasive action. Too late, the Spider Network activated. Thousands of small satellites, previously dormant and nearly invisible to Zarkei sensors, came to life simultaneously. Each one was based on modified Zarkei technology, but used in ways the aliens had never considered. The satellites didn't try to destroy the massive warships directly. Instead, they targeted specific systems: communications, sensors, navigation. The Zarkei fleet suddenly found itself partially blinded and unable to coordinate properly. Clever, Krevan admitted, but not enough to stop us. He turned to his weapons officer. Target those devices and destroy them. The Zarkei ships began firing, but the satellites were small and numerous. For each one destroyed, dozens more continued functioning. Meanwhile, Earth's defense fleet moved into position. The UES Defiance, commanded by Caroline Reeves, led 5 other vessels in a formation designed to use the sun's radiation to their advantage. The Zarkei shields are weakest against specific energy frequencies, Commander Reeves told her crew. Dr. Bennett's team discovered this by studying their captured ship. We'll approach from the direction of the sun, using its radiation to enhance our weapons. On Earth, Director Sullivan watched the battle unfold from HVI headquarters. Beside her stood Captain Cole and Lieutenant Thraz. Your admiral is skilled, Cole said to Thraz, watching the alien fleet adapt to the Spider Network's disruption. He's already changing tactics. Thraz nodded. Krevan is the Federation's finest strategist, but he thinks in traditional patterns. Your people don't. In space, the battle intensified. The Zarkei fleet pushed forward despite the electronic harassment from the Spider network. As they approached Mars orbit, they finally encountered Earth's 6 ships. "They're sending just 6 vessels against our fleet." Captain Leros laughed. "This will be over quickly." But Admiral Krevan wasn't laughing. "Something's wrong. Scan the area thoroughly." The human ships didn't engage directly. Instead, they used hit-and-run tactics, striking from unexpected angles, then using Mars and its moons for cover. Their weapons were precisely calibrated to exploit weaknesses in Zarkei shield technology. "They're targeting our command ships," Krevan realized. "Protect the flagship." Vessels moved to surround the Eternal Might, but this was exactly what the humans had planned. The UES Defiance suddenly accelerated to speeds the Zarkei thought impossible for human technology. It slipped through the defensive screen and launched a new type of weapon directly at the flagship. The weapon wasn't explosive. Instead, it attached to the hull and began broadcasting a signal that matched the Eternal Might's own command frequencies. Suddenly, the flagship's systems began receiving conflicting orders. "What is happening?" Krevan demanded as his ship's lights flickered. On the Defiance, Commander Reeves watched with satisfaction. "The override transmitter is working. Their own computers are fighting each other now." 3 more Zarkei vessels fell to similar tactics. Others found their weapon systems suddenly targeting friendly ships. The carefully coordinated fleet began to fall into chaos. Admiral Krevan watched in disbelief. These humans had taken Zarkei technology and transformed it into something he didn't recognize, something that exploited weaknesses the Federation didn't even know existed. "Retreat," he finally ordered. "We need to regroup and reassess." As the Zarkei fleet withdrew from the solar system, humanity celebrated its first major victory. But everyone knew this was just the beginning. The Federation would return, stronger and better prepared. What no one yet realized was that across the galaxy, other subjugated species were receiving news of the human victory. Word of the Zarkei defeat at Earth spread through the galaxy faster than anyone expected. The Federation had controlled all major communication networks for centuries, but now information flowed through secret channels established by subjugated species. Humans defeated Krevan's fleet. The Federation's finest ships retreated. Earth stands free. These messages reached distant worlds where hope had long ago died. On Maldoria, the news sparked open rebellion. Millions took to the streets, overwhelming the small Zarkei security forces. On the Giovanni homeworld, government officials who had collaborated with the Federation were suddenly removed from power. The Lassikai, thought to be completely pacified, destroyed 3 Federation outposts in a single day. The galaxy was changing, and Earth was at the center of it all. 3 months after the Battle of Sol, Captain Cole, now Admiral Cole, stood on the bridge of the UES Alliance, Earth's newest and largest vessel. Beside him stood Ayala, the Moldorian representative who had first contacted Earth. "Your people have accomplished something remarkable," Ayala said. Her skin shimmered with blue and green patterns that indicated respect in Maldorian culture. "You've given us all hope." Cole nodded. "But the Federation is still powerful. We need allies if we're going to survive what comes next." The Alliance was on a diplomatic mission to visit neutral systems, worlds that had maintained independence from the Federation through isolation or special arrangements. Cole's job was to convince them to join what was now being called the Interstellar Cooperative of Free Worlds. Their first stop was Trenda, a wealthy trading hub that had paid the Federation for protection while maintaining its autonomy. "They will be cautious," Ayala warned as they approached the planet. "The Trenda care primarily about profit and stability." "Then we'll show them that freedom is profitable," Cole replied. The meeting with the Trenda Council went better than expected. The merchants were impressed by human technology, not because it was more advanced than the Federation's, but because it was different, innovative. "Your hybrid systems would give us an advantage in transportation," said Chief Merchant Bolo. "Our ships could move goods more efficiently." We're willing to share technology, Cole offered. All we ask is that you consider joining our alliance against the Federation. After 3 days of negotiations, the Trendet agreed, not to fight directly, but to provide resources, intelligence, and safe harbors for cooperative ships. It was a pattern that repeated across a dozen worlds. Some joined out of self-interest, others out of hatred for the Federation. A few joined simply because they sensed the changing tide of galactic power. Meanwhile, on Earth, Lieutenant Thraz made a surprising request to Director Sullivan. "I wish to help your people," the Zarkate officer said. "My time here has shown me that the Federation's path is wrong." "Why should we trust you?" Sullivan asked. "Because I've seen what humans can do," Thraz replied. "I've seen how you treat even your enemies with respect. The Federation has ruled through fear for too long." Thraz became an advisor to the Earth fleet, providing valuable information about Zarkite tactics and weaknesses. Some humans remained suspicious, but his knowledge proved invaluable. Back in Federation space, Admiral Krevan faced the Galactic Council. The defeat at Earth had weakened his position, but he remained in command. "The humans are building a coalition against us," he reported. "Worlds that have been loyal for centuries are now in open revolt." "How is this possible?" demanded Councillor Drav. "We've ruled for thousands of years." "Because the humans offer something we never did," said Elder Zethmora. "They offer partnership instead of subjugation. They share technology instead of hoarding it." The council chamber fell silent at this truth. "What do you propose, Admiral?" asked the council leader. "A final solution," Krevan said grimly. "We gather every ship we have and crush Earth completely. Without the humans, this rebellion will collapse." As the council debated this desperate plan, Cole's diplomatic mission continued. The Alliance visited world after world, building a network of allies. Humans shared their technologies freely, taught others how to modify Zarkite systems, and encouraged innovation. The galaxy had begun to change in ways that couldn't be reversed. What had started with one human vessel encountering the Federation had grown into a movement that swept across hundreds of worlds. And it wasn't over yet. 1 year after the first contact between humans and the Zarkite Federation, the galaxy was unrecognizable. The once mighty Federation controlled barely half of its former territory. The interstellar cooperative of free worlds had grown to include over 60 planets, with Earth at its center. Admiral Krevan stood on the bridge of the rebuilt Eternal Might, surveying what remained of the Federation fleet. 300 ships gathered near the Zarkite homeworld, every vessel they could muster for one final desperate attack. "The Council has approved the plan," he told his officers. "We will strike Earth directly, with everything we have." Captain Leros looked troubled. "Admiral, our intelligence suggests the humans now have technology that matches or exceeds our own. And their allies are numerous." "It doesn't matter," Krevan replied. "Without Earth, the rebellion collapses. The humans are the heart of it all." As the Federation prepared for war, Admiral Cole returned to Earth after his successful diplomatic mission. He met with Director Sullivan and the newly formed Earth Council in the HDI headquarters. "The cooperative is strong," Cole reported, "but our intelligence suggests the Federation is planning something big, a final assault on Earth." Sullivan nodded. "We've heard the same from Lieutenant Thraz's contacts. Every Federation ship is gathering for an attack." "We could evacuate," suggested one council member. "Spread our people across friendly worlds." "No," Cole said firmly. "Earth is our home. We defend it." He turned to a display showing the solar system and the extensive defenses now in place. "Besides, we've been preparing for this." The spider network had grown, now encompassing the entire system. Earth's fleet had expanded to 30 ships, all incorporating the best of human creativity and alien technology. And there was one more advantage: allies. "The Maldorians have pledged 20 ships," Cole told the council. "The Giovanni another 15. Even the Trende are sending vessels to help defend Earth." 2 weeks later, the Federation fleet arrived at the edge of the solar system. They came from multiple directions, trying to overwhelm Earth's defenses. But the humans were ready. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Federation ships found themselves caught in complex traps, gravity wells that slowed their advance, energy fields that disrupted their weapons, and thousands of small automated drones that targeted specific systems. Admiral Cole led the defense fleet from the UES Alliance. Commander Reeves, now in charge of the UES Defiance, executed bold flanking maneuvers that split the Federation formation. Lieutenant Thraz, commanding a vessel crewed by both humans and former Federation citizens, targeted Krevan's command ships with precision. The fighting lasted 3 days. The Federation lost ship after ship, yet Krevan pushed forward, determined to reach Earth. Finally, only the Eternal Might and 50 other vessels remained, surrounded by the combined forces of Earth and its allies. "Surrender, Admiral," Cole transmitted to Krevan's ship. "There's no need for more death." "We do not surrender," Krevan replied. "The Federation has ruled for thousands of years. We will not end in defeat." "It doesn't have to end at all," Cole said. "Just change." To everyone's surprise, Elder Zithmora herself responded. She had come aboard the flagship against the Council's wishes. "Admiral Krevan has been relieved of command," she announced. "I speak for the Federation now. We wish to discuss terms." The ceasefire that followed led to the greatest change in galactic history. The Federation was reformed, with Elder Zithmora as its new leader. The principles of the cooperative, partnership, shared technology, and mutual respect became the foundation of a new galactic concord. Admiral Cole returned to Earth a hero. Director Sullivan oversaw the transformation of the HDI from a defense organization to one focused on exploration and diplomacy. Lieutenant Thraz became the first Federation ambassador to Earth. In a ceremony marking the first anniversary of the Galactic Concord, the original U.S. Intrepid was placed in a museum. A plaque beside it read, "One human vessel appeared, and the galaxy found peace at last." The truth was more complex, of course. There would still be conflicts and challenges in the years ahead, but the age of empire had ended. The age of cooperation had begun, and it had all started with a single human ship lost among the stars that refused to accept that it couldn't win.